All right, let's get started on GameStop, Richard Newton Sheet, volume vlog number 5. My prediction from last time we recorded was that we squeezed on the 3rd, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, and I've been dead wrong so far. Let's get into that. Right? So on the trade that I owned, I had to roll, or I had the opportunity to roll on the 6th when the price declined. When my options were expiring, I rolled at a average price of 20 at an average price of 26.52 a share. I rolled at an average price of 26.52 a share. I exited those calls and re-entered new ones. The new ones were at a average price of 26 no still 26.52 a share. And on top of that, the model, when I take the model and I adjust it to no longer be in a to still be in a swap period, so I extended the yeses up, it tracks perfectly to what the price action is doing. So price is tracking like we're still in swaps. That's not what I expected. Like, outright not what I expected here. The follow-up, right? Follow-up. Next week, it predicts down more. Down more into, just down more for the full model. The ETF model, when I adjust the ETF model to, let's say, still be inside of a swap period, I moved the purple. Instead of moving the purple swap up, let's make this something reasonable, right? Let's make this something reasonable. I am going to take this and I'm going to extend a -2 all the way up. And we're going to see how accurate that looks to our little human eyes. Okay, that is a bit too low. Too low. Kill that. I'm going to extend a -1 all the way up. How does that look to our little human eyes? Also too low. Although I could, well, in fact, see a bounce off of this and a recover. That's completely within reasonable and within reason and possible. At the moment, I am supplying the purple swap to happen right on top of us because a minus whatever the heck that is a large downward movement, and if it is the purple swap starting, then this is how it would happen. However, I don't think that's very likely. I have follow-ups for that I can walk through in a second here. But if the purple swap is happening right now, then I can expect we hit 26.50 on Monday, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just decline. This is the absolute worst case scenario, but I don't actually think this is how we are trading. I will destroy this for a second, and I'm going to supply. No, I'm just gonna keep it there for now. So formerly, the purple swap was located right here actually, and I will show what that looks like as well. I have broken references doing that. Let's copy instead of cut. Okay, and then let's extend this up in order to not break references. Perfect. Now, what does that look like? That looks like what the chart used to look like, right? Where we have a large upwards movement and the blue having a downwards interception with the green, the green is the most bearish that I tend to predict with this. However, the full model seems to be tracking more accurately than the ETF model here. I full well expect the echoes of failures to deliver are starting to drop off, and they were going to continue to drop off until the 24th or 25th. Okay. Max Payne still sitting at 26 for next week, and what I have done is I have looked at the duration for how far until from one red swap to another, then applied that to purple and asked how long until a purple swap would occur. Okay, and a purple swap would typically, if this were a red swap, occur around, let's see how long this is actually, May 7th of 25 to 1st of April 25. Let's get a nuke. Let's grab a date. to date. New. May 7th, 2025 to, oh, no, it is April 1st, 2025. Refresh. April 1st, 2025. April 1st, 2025. Correct? Okay. To May 7th, 2025. May 7th, 2025. That is 37 days. Now let's take the exact last day that this could matter, which is still, it's only the 4th. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it is around a 1 month delay between where the red swap had a lot of interesting activity that made us believe that it did not occur, to when the quote-unquote purple swap occurred instead, okay? Around 35 days. Cool. That is the distance from here on the 3rd to here on the 7th, okay? From where this peak occurred to where this peak should have occurred. The follow-up, let's skip forward a bit, is yesterday. This was GameStop's tweet. This exact image that's the backdrop is a reference to Warren Kitty's tweet here, which is him being surprised that he is being blamed for GameStop's movement upwards. Let's look at the tweets that were around the same time, right? We have a surprised banana, which is an upwards movement. A surprised banana on top of options 101. So the joke being that he is surprised that people are making money off of options here, or that there is a surprise gain to be had from options. And then right afterwards, we have his masterpiece.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Which is
breaking news, because the live stream has started. You can see that right there. About 28 or so minutes late.
It is something starting 28 minutes late is apparently his masterpiece. So my call out to follow up, and then the follow up to that is the Lisan al-Gaib. Okay, the thump, 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 ride the worm. And so the follow up is, we've seen the red swap, we've seen a bond issuance into the red swap occurring about a month and a half late. And then into that, no red swap occurs, warrant issuance, which is different from a bond issuance, my bad, a warrant issuance. And when we add, let's say 28 days to the warrant issuance, we have October 31st actually. So let's go ahead and go over here into the data panel. So we have the first Babe Ruth graphic, right? We have I'm going to use the word cucked rally here by, what do you call it? A cucked rally by this warrant issuance. I don't know if the rally will occur in a minute on Tuesday. We will find out for that. But then the follow-up is around a month later, we have the second rally of these two. How can I say this? If this is intentional, and this is a quote-unquote masterpiece, then the possibility would be that the intention from the start is to keep us from going into the ETF fulfillment or refillment portion of the swap cycle for 1 month later, so that both rallies happen at the same time. So there tends to be a rally upwards, and we'll notice how this actually did happen for us. There tends to be a rally upwards from in the dog days or the doldrums into hovering around 28 a share. We have done that. We have gone from hovering around 24, 25 a share to hovering around 26, 27 a share. Okay, that is coming to an end. I personally believe that is coming to an end here. I'm going to get out of my current position of my calls, and I'm going to do so when the warrant issuance has buying pressure on the stock. I rolled my calls, sure, but I only rolled my calls because I write out my reasoning why I would do different things, and my reasoning was already written here. My reasoning is no boom on the 3rd, roll the calls another week, and see if the warrant issuance causes upwards pressure, and get rid of the calls into upwards pressure from the warrant issuance. So I will be exiting these calls and more than likely picking up puts during this. I have to set up exactly what I'm going to do if I'm going to pick up puts, and exactly how and why I'm going to do so for that trade if I choose to do that trade. But the call out that I'm going to give is that, first of all, it's completely reasonable that the final model would not account for warrant issuance changes. Completely reasonable. There is nothing here that would account for corporate action. And you can see an example of that where here we issue bonds, or we issue shares, and you'll notice how the model does not track for an entire month. It doesn't track for anything reasonable. And so here we would issue a warrant on the 7th, and then if the stock were to break away in response to the warrant, it would happen there. It would break the model, it would break away from this model, and that's completely reasonable. If I follow the ETF model, which I believe would be more accurate into warrant issuance, even though it is less accurate overall, then I could expect something around 27 a share, minimum. I don't know. I'm not supposed to know. I just have my chips where they land, and honestly, this is a bit higher risk than I'm used to. I would not hold calls into an area where the typical model says we go down on a normal week. I'm probably going to be repositioning this week. I'm probably even going to lose money on this trade this week, and that's completely okay in my opinion, honestly. If I can get 27 a share for these calls, I'm overjoyed, because this has been a trade which does just about lose me money typically, or loses me money. Yeah, if I can get 27 a share for these calls, I'm fine. I'm happy. If I end up at 26, then I eat over the course of the entire thing I did here, about 100k loss, and I can eat that easily. 25, it starts to become painful, but it's whatever. Yeah, insane. Okay, right, let's get started on this then. Cool. Let's figure out how we would ride the worm then. So if we are, in fact, delaying one of these to occur on top of the other and saying that is our masterpiece, then I would anticipate that end of October, I buy calls that expire at the end of November, and I do a monthly. I would expect swap activity to pick up. I would expect swap activity to maximize around the 24th of October, if anything. I could also completely reasonably see that the 22nd of November, which is the typical swap date, could be pushed forward T plus 28, which is 28 minutes late, to the end of October. And some of the means could make sense with that, and that's fine. That's completely reasonable. And then, what else have I got here? Yeah. I would, for me, I'm going to wait until warrant issuance date. I'm going to witness what happens on warrant issuance date myself, and I'm going to aim to get out of this position, get out from under this position. Not under this position, but I'm going to aim to get out of this position at a reasonable gain, and I'm not going to aim to hold until squeeze here at this point. Yeah. There is some level as well of, when you check what GameStop corporate is saying, there is also some level of, let's look at past tweets. 7 inches has never felt so soft. Soft could mean we've never seen so mild of a massive upwards potential, and we'll also see at only until, like, cheap only until yesterday, that is, cheap until only the end of Friday. So corporate may actually be 100% confident that they cause upwards potential with these warrant issuances, and it's fine if they do. I would aim to take profit myself. Like, that's just how I work sometimes. If my models aren't predictive of what's happening, I'm not necessarily interested in gambling. Cool. What else have I got here? What else have I got? No, that's just it. I do not think we're ending the swap cycle here. But let me show what does happen if we go into no's here, because I do believe that it is important to take into consideration what happens if the swaps end right now. If the swaps end right now, then on Monday, we could open up to 29 a share. Like, unironically, we could open up to the massive upwards potential. The ETF model, if there's no downwards pressure, could push up to 33 a share. And like these are all completely possible and honestly reasonable to happen. I just have, like, nobody's going to be changing their bets during the weekend, so I don't have to necessarily care about what I influence people for right now. But I have cautioned myself because if my placement of when swaps begin or end is wrong, then I lose money or people I care about lose money. And so I'm being very cautious because I do believe that we're going to see downwards potential soon. And I do not know what happens here. I just don't. I have effectively two very compelling models here, and I don't know which one is right and which one is wrong because of corporate action and because of swap action not making sense and swaps moving around this time. The red swap moved. It occurred as the purple swap. The purple swap occurs very soon. Do I think we're still in swap season? I don't know. But I know in the past week, we traded as if we were still in swaps, and extending that another week results in exactly as that. Results in, one second, take the no's. One second, take the yeses, that is, my bad, and extend them until the 10th. Extending that another week is a down week, and that's completely all right. Yeah, I'm going to place this right back where I found it, all of it. We're going to keep. I'm going to let's place our bets now. Let's be risky here. Let's say that I am a silly man. Then I'm going to keep the yeses exactly where they are because this makes too much sense. This tracks too well. I'm actually even going to keep them all the way until the end of October. So I'm going to keep saying yes until the end of October. I'm going to say that we occur T plus 28 and that this is now a down cycle. Is that insane? I don't know. Warrant issuance day will tell me a lot. Next week will tell me a lot for this. And so I get to find out. This is the inflection week. Things that are good. Let's go into that. Things that are good to see. We will know on Monday and Tuesday with openings how this whole thing goes effectively for me. We will know if the swap activity goes down. We will know if the purple swap subsides. I do expect that this upwards tick will decline and I will get a better trading or better selling opportunity next week than I will find in several weeks if this is the downwards potential. And I expect that I'll have plenty of time to exit this trade at any point here in this week. It may not be a gain, but I'll have plenty of time. Okay. And then what comes next? This would probably subside. If this goes up and up, then the price would go down. That's just how simple that goes. I expect this is just the first part of a ramp up, and the purple swap would occur probably around the end of the month or the middle of the month here. I would be looking for this going up throughout the week, but not in a straight line in the bearish scenario. In the bearish scenario, I would be looking at the way we open up on price on Monday and what price action looks like on Monday. I'd be looking at Tuesday. By the end of Tuesday, I would know how I feel about this trade pretty consistently. I would know how I feel about where this is going. Yeah. Models are wrong. I can be wrong. Corporate, in my opinion, corporate Twitter still firmly thinks that we are going up. They also think, let's place this. Let's place that tweet on Roaring Kitty's timeline. Click, clicky, 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 clicky. Yeah, they firmly think that this has something either to do with making money off of options or the surprise that the stock's going up. And maybe on Monday we see a surprise upwards movement. Maybe we see the stock swap delayed 28 days and come across anyways. I don't know. Everything lined up last week. Nothing lines up this week. I can accept that. Take care, everyone.